Growing up with Jim, he was always the smart one, in school. It was like always trying to keep up with him. But he was also the kind that always had ideas. His mind was always working. As an adult, when Jim graduated from the Coast Guard Academy with a degree in civil engineering, he just continued to be an excellent provider for his family that grew to have 5 children.
So prior to Jim's accident, to when he was an employee, he was a thinker, quiet. He was a very intelligent and capable executive. So Jim had been gaining a little bit of weight and had expressed that he wanted to, go out and start some exercise program into his life. And one of the activities was biking when he would get home.
And so my typical bike ride that would take 20 minutes involved going down one road, connecting over to a utility, or I call it a utility road, then go up to where it connected with the road I started on and finish the loop. And we had been out of town a couple weeks before, and a couple days later it's like, okay, I need to get some exercise. It's time for me to get some more exercise, so I'll go for a bike ride. It turned out that while we had been on vacation, while we had been gone, a thunderstorm had washed out this path. So about 4 feet deep, 4 feet wide, the road was washed out 4 feet deep. So by the time I got to the bottom of the gully, they estimate I was traveling probably 20 or 25 miles an hour. You couldn't see it until I got right there. Well, it's impossible to stop a bike that quickly, and so my bike went into the ditch, went into the hole, and I catapulted ahead and hit my face, broke my jaw, broke 7 teeth, broke my brain, and laid there till the next day.
The day of the incident, Elizabeth, his wife, called. Now she knows he went for a bike ride and he wasn't back. So as the evening progressed, the police got involved, and there was a search and rescue command center in proximity to their house in the field.
And I got an email from my parents saying that Jim was missing.
The next day, a jogger found me. Thought I was a murder victim, and turns out I wasn't dead yet.
So I woke up in the morning to find out that he had been finally found and that he was in a coma, and it was very touch and go, life and death. I just cried. I cried and cried and cried because he was my brother, but he was everything for me. It was very, very hard emotionally to see him there being so physically and mentally handicapped.
I was in a coma for a week and in the hospital for a month.
He had over 50 different shear points in his brain, which instead of having one massive injury that they could say this part of his brain wasn't working and wouldn't work, it was, like having roadblocks in the city, just 50 different. So every time you try to get information from one point to another, it wasn't working, or he was going to have to make new pathways.
In December, my boss brought me back to give a try and see if I could still do the job.
It was obvious he wasn't the same person, so we put together an assessment just to see how he would do, and I shadowed him. It was obvious that what he was looking at and his memories weren't connecting properly.
And it was clear by the end of it that I did not have the mental capability to do that job anymore. After about 7 years, my wife and I ran into a friend of hers at church. It turned out that she was working for LearningRx. So she told us about a clinical study that was going on that LearningRx was going to participate in, and they needed 3 traumatic brain injury victims. And I qualified as one of those, so I got into the program.
So Jim called me one day and he was very excited about something called LearningRx, and that this might be something else that would really help be able to focus on the areas that needed improvement.
Typically their exercises are not just for one aspect of your brain, they're for multiple aspects. And they know where I needed the help, and so they'd push me toward exercises that did that. The brain trainer would give me 2 numbers, and I would add those numbers together. Then he would give me another number. Now the challenge for me was I had to remember the last number he had said and the number before. So I had to tell him the sum of the last two numbers he had given me. And so as you can imagine, that gives you a little bit more stress on your brain. Once you achieve the highest there, then you move up to the next level and the next level and the next level. For that one, I'm proud because I was effective and I made it to the highest level.
Jim and I would meet periodically, you know, a couple times a year. He had talked about, you know, taking this brain training through Learning RX and his feeling that it was moving along really well and helping him.
After we finished all the therapy and went through all the final testing, then Learning RX asked me to come back in so they could tell me what the results were. And many aspects seemed to be working better. My brain seemed to be functioning better. It was great to hear all the numbers and to see the pictures. It was very clear that before the therapy, my brain is 100% active. It's trying to keep me living, keep me alive. And all the parts of the brain that should have been resting were working hard, just trying to keep me going. Compared that with the MRI after the therapy was over, the resting parts that were supposed to rest were resting. They were not active. They were taking it easy because I did not need my whole brain to keep alive anymore. I could use it to think, and that's what I was experiencing as well. I could use my brain to think.
Now that socially awkward part isn't there. The competitive spirit that we've always had is coming through strong as we're playing cribbage, or that's the relationship that we have. And just love having my big brother back.
Significant differences since I finished the therapy. One is I'm able to go back to work for the company that couldn't bring me back before. And now I can jump in and take on problems and know that, okay, I can probably work my way through this. So I've got the mental ability to work out these problems again. I have recommended Learning RX to others several times, and I would always recommend it to someone with a traumatic brain injury because it's a great way to get your brain back.